Test. Wonderful. Hello everyone and welcome back to ESRL. It's a new year. Happy New Year everyone. Happy 2025. May it be a prosperous year for you all. But we're here for ESRL, who's going to definitely have a prosperous year, as we're here for season number 8 of the league's Division 1 season. And TF Martin, the defending champion, is on the grid, as well as a few other champions on this grid, whether they're of this league or others. Johnny Stokes, the Season 6 champion. Of course, Martin, the Season 7 and Season 4, I believe, champion. Clemo, the, I believe, 100% race or enduro championship champion in ESRL. So plenty of champions on the grid today. Chalda, the cockpit cam championship champion as well. And then we've got Jacko, the APP tier 2 champion. So we've got a lot of championship pedigree on the grid here today, and I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic race as a result of that. We're here for qualifying though. The first round is here in Silverstone, of course, as you can see. A fantastic venue for a first race of the season. So I'm sure you'll agree, a classic circuit which has so much to offer. And I think this is going to be a spectacular season opener. Why wouldn't it be in this league? We've got Palang on the grid. It looks like he's going to be the first to set a lap time out there. He's coming down in his Aston Martin, just weaving, getting the tyres up to temperature down the straight. And down towards Stowe, we've got Abdullah, for some reason, on the intermediates in the Haas. A few newbies this season. Valwood, Abdullah, I haven't seen either of them before. Comanche I've seen before, but in the 100% championship. But Palang comes around the final corner to begin a lap of Silverstone, flat out through turn 1 and flat out through turn 2 as well. And here we go, down to turn 3, down the gears, nearly at the 50 board for Palang, but he makes the corner easily. Fantastic braking from the Canadian as he heads through turn 4 and 5, using some of that overtake button. You've got to avoid a bump on the straight on the right hand side here, and Palang duly does. He knows about the bump on that side of the circuit on this year's game. Here he comes then into the next couple of corners. Oh, never mind. That is lap over for Palang. Hasn't taken any damage, but he's certainly not going to be improving on anyone else's best lap times after that. Chalder, meanwhile, just behind. He goes through Luffield and down the, I believe this is the Hangar Straight, towards, it might not be, I might have made a complete fool of myself, but I'm pretty sure that's the Hangar Straight. Through, down towards Copse he goes, flat out through Copse, and now Magus and Beckett's are coming up. The first 2 corners very easy, flat out. This one you need to maybe lift a bit. You can do it flat if you're very, very brave, but usually lifting is the way to go. And through the last bit of Beckett's and Chapel, now all the way down towards Stowe Corner for Chalder. The cockpit cam reigning champion comes down to the last couple of corners now. The Vale chicane breaks well past the 100-meter board. He's got that aggressive driving style where they turn in very sharply to the corner. Well after braking, it's a 26.653, a very, very strong opening lap from Chalder, and we can see why he is the reigning cockpit cam champion. Who's that coming across the line just behind? It was a McLaren, but whoever it was didn't set a lap time. It was Finley, it must have been. Luz Simeons, the other Ferrari driver, goes to P2, but nearly 9/10 adrift of his champion pedigree teammate. Eisenborg now through the final corner as well in his Haas. He does a 27.7, a long way down. So Chalder's first lap looking very as well. Trugster, though, goes to P2. Johnny Stokes, Season 6 champion of ESRL, goes beats his teammate onto the front row. Comanche goes to P4, so the lap times are starting to come in now. Scott, the league owner, long time ESRL veteran, well, of course, since the very beginning of the league, goes to P4. Very impressive, that is, from Scott. We've got Vithialman going to P8 as a Red Bull. That is TF Martin, and that is the defending champion on to pole position for now. Fantastic lap time from Martin, as 26.4 is the new time to beat. Can it be beaten by this man? Jack Alacco, the man from Scotland, comes to the Vale chicane. He's got a nice helmet on. I believe that's from the APP Christmas jumper race. I don't think he's changed it. Oh, ran the final corner well wide and a long way down on pole position. He's down in 11th. Aces, meanwhile, in the Alpine, is spinning off at Luffield. So he's going to have to try again. Finley way down, surprisingly. I thought he'd be right up there, but he's only 5th. And as it stands, Ace is not going to be able to set a competitive lap time this time. First lap's in, and Martin starts off where he left off from last season. Pole position at 26.4. Him and Chalder are a long way ahead of everyone else. But we've still got Lancer, Palang, Clemo and Stephen Vasso yet to set lap times, as well as Abdullah, who's done a lap on the intermediates for some reason, but he can do what he wants. He's saving tyres, but I'm not sure how much practice you're going to get driving on the inters in dry conditions. But anyway, Lancer then coming through Mackers and Beckett for his out lap. I don't think he's going to be the next. No, it's going to be Valwood who comes across the line first to set a lap time, although Aces, I believe, is going again. He is indeed, so through turns 1 and 2 for the British driver. As we've got people joining or leaving and then joining the lobby again. Some connection issues going on the grid today, but Aces won't care. He comes through turn 5. DRS open, avoids the bump on the right-hand side of the circuit and heads down towards turn 6. He's nearly 3/10 up on his previous best. This is where it all went wrong last time. Luffield corner on the exit. Can he get the power down better this time? Yes, he can. Keeps it on the circuit. And round he goes down towards Copse Corner for Aces versus Kings. Is in an Alpine this season. Flat out through Copse. Very nicely done from Aces. And we'll see what he can do through Maggots and Beckett's. Flat, of course, through the first two. Lifts off a lot for the next one. And then, of course, on the brakes, just a tad, just a tap of the brakes for the last corner that you have to brake for, or even slow down for, in that section. And now through towards Stowe Corner. Patty Pat, meanwhile, has gone P8 in his Mercedes as Aces comes down to the Vale chicane. 18% left in his battery. It's just enough to get him all the way to the line. He uses everything he's got left, and it's a 26.8. It's an extremely strong lap time from Aces versus Kings, who starts off 2025 very well indeed. Valwood, we get an initial look into his pace, a newbie on the ESRL grid. He goes to P8 as we've got a McLaren of Lancer coming through the Vale chicane now. No, he's not. He's into the pit lane for the second time. So still no satisfactory lap time for Lancer. He is not happy at the moment. What about Palang? He's coming through towards Stowe Corner. He's almost used all of his battery already. He's got just enough to get him all the way to the line. He is going to derate a little bit, perhaps out the last corner, but no, I think he's got just enough, just over 20%. That's even more than Aces had. He's going to use everything that he's got towards the line for Palang, and it's P9 for the Canadian driver. And I don't think he'll be too pleased with that. I think he'll have wanted to do better than that. QB improves his lap time, but not his position. Remains down in 17th, where I expect he will likely stay, but who knows, maybe he'll pull something out the bag. Stephen Vasso, many drivers pick, well, certainly Finley's pick for pole position today, is coming down towards the end of Sector 1. It's a 27.3 from the Kick-Sauber driver as he heads into Luffield. He said he hates driving the Kick-Sauber. Well, maybe he won't hate it so much if he gets onto pole position today, as Finley predicts. Now through Copse Corner, he is flat out and using all of the circuit through there. And now down towards Maggots and Beckett's. What can he do? Flat. Is it flat through here? Not quite. He does lift off a tad, but not even a brake for the next part of the corner. But that is going to cost him quite a bit of time. Lost the rears. Trying to carry as much speed as he possibly could, and through Stowe Corner he goes, and to the last couple for NLR, Stephen Vasso. Vasso, I'm going to assume Vasso unless I'm corrected. Oh, he's very deep though there, out of Vale, and that's going to cost him some time as well, but it's still fastest by nearly half a second, which is, I mean, quite remarkable. No one is going to beat him to pole. He has got this on lock, I'm pretty sure. No one is beating that. And considering the mistakes that we saw him make on that lap, that's quite unbelievable that he's that far ahead. Johnny Stokes, meanwhile, though, in the V-Cub, the improvement, well, I say no one's beating it, but his friend who joins the lobby, or joined the league merely about half an hour ago, goes and beats him a 25.8. So those two, I think, are going to be the front row today, but it's going to be a question of which one on pole position. Those are quite incredible lap times. Considering the mistakes that we saw Stephen make, and quite remarkable improvement as well, because I've seen Stephen Vasso in APP as well, in APP Elite, and he's been so much better since he was driving in APP Elite. Like, he was towards the front of that league as well, but not by this margin. Clemo, though, the Enduro champion, reigning Enduro champion of ESRL, comes to the last couple of corners, and the man from Germany is going to set his first lap time of the day. What's it going to be? It's looking decent. It's a 26.8. I think anything under a 27 is pretty decent around here for ESRL standards. So Clemo gets himself into 7th place, just ahead of Johnny Stokes there. Who's going to be next? It's going to be Comanche, who is 2.5 tenths up in his Red Bull as he comes to the Vale chicane. There's a Haas going into the pits just behind him, but what can Comanche do? He comes around the final corner here and across the line. A 26.7 just about beats Aces to P6. Very, very close. From Chalder all the way down really to Patty Pat, 4th to 14th, very, very close indeed. But no one able to challenge Martin, and certainly no one able to challenge those top two at the moment. Who have we got next across the line? It's going to be the McLaren of Lancer, who's after bailing on his first two attempts. He comes around the final corner now, does Lancer. What's it going to be on the timing screen? It's going to be a 26.487. Very strong indeed from Lancer. Still not enough to beat the defending champion, but more than enough to get himself on the second row. And he'll be mighty chuffed with that, I think. So who's going to be next? Is it going to be the Williams of Jackalacco? No, because he is way down on his time. So we instead shift our focus to Clemo, who's coming into the pits. I believe Comanche just did a lap as well. So Eisenborg on an out lap right now. Not many people on lap times at the moment. Ace is certainly not on one. What about Chalder? Nope, him neither. You can see by the ERS at the bottom. He is very much not on a lap. So pretty much no one on a lap right now. Which means we will ride on board with Eisenborg, who's on his out lap. And he's going to come across the line shortly to start his next run, possibly his final run with only 4 minutes left on the clock in this qualifying session. It's going to be a struggle to get yourself into the pits and out again in time. I think this probably will be Eisenborg's final attempt, unless he bails early and goes again, because the pit lane at Silverstone, one of the longest on the calendar, well over 30 seconds that you lose in the pits. So, and it'll be obviously significantly more than that coming in qualifying. But Eisenborg, DRS open, and avoids the bump on the right-hand side. He is nearly a 10th up, but locks up quite dramatically into Brooklands. That's going to cost him big time through Luffield. And Eisenborg, well, we'll see at the end of the second sector whether he is still improving, but that is surely going to cost him quite a bit of time. Hello to Harris in the chat. We are indeed back. It's the new year, so racing is back on the menu. And Eisenborg is going to be the first one you'll see set a lap here, Harris, in this session. He's already set a lap, but he's all the way down in 18th place. He is improving, but you just wonder how much he lost at Brooklands there. He comes now towards Stowe Corner. Thank you, Harris. And lifts off a little too much, I think, there. A little too conservative from Eisenborg as he comes into the Vale chicane. Just a couple corners to go. Now just one corner to go for the Haas driver, and uses everything he's got in the ERS. He gets up to 16th, but I think he'll be disappointed by how far down the grid he is at the moment. Let's see who's going to be next. I believe probably Stephen Vasso. No, he's in Luffield right now. Or just coming out of it. Who else is on a lap? Vith Yalman, here we go, in the other Sauber. He comes towards the last few corners. Through Stowe he goes, and towards the Vale chicane. 14% left in the battery. Should be just enough to see him to the line as he comes through. Oh, he loses the rears quite dramatically and into the gravel. He still gains 3.5 tenths. But what could have been there for Vith Yalman? I think he would have been easily 16th if he hadn't lost it at the last corner there. But he'll be disappointed with that, as his teammate Stephen Vasso looking to improve and get himself onto pole position. We saw him make mistakes on his previous run. This time, no such mistakes. A 25.7 from Stephen Vasso, and Abdullah's going to have to pull something out the bag to beat that one. No one else is going to be within a sniff, I don't think. Martin, if he does the lap of his life, maybe, but I don't think even he is capable of that kind of time. Scott and Finley on the same lap time right now, which is very surprising. Don't know what's happened to Finley. There's a Sauber in the middle of the track. I'm not sure who that is. I think that's Vith Yalman. who has retired by the looks of it. But Scott now coming to the end of Sector 1, but he's actually braking and lifting off. That's going to be his session done. No improvement for Scott. Well down on his previous best, and he bails on the lap. Johnny Stokes bails as well. He's into the pit lane. So who is going to improve here? Doesn't look like anyone at the moment. There's a Mercedes coming across the line, but I think they're on an outlap. Yeah, it was Clemo on an outlap. Abdullah comes across to start his final attempt here. We've got Kemenche coming across to do the same. And then it's the two Aston Martins. We've got Palang on an outlap as well, just starting his final run. What about QB? Can he get himself out of out of 20th place? No, he can't. He's got one more attempt, but he's got barely any battery left, so I think he's going to be routed to the bottom of the standings. What about Jack Alako? He's in the middle sector right now, but it's all about Abdullah. He is nearly half a tenth up in the first sector. And coming through Luffield, he's going to need to find another 10th in the last two sectors. And around this circuit, that is quite a difficult amount of time to find. Martin, though, is 3/10 up in the middle sector. If he can nail this final sector, he might well get himself on the front row after all. The defending champion a bit wide, though, at Vale. That's going to cost him, and it does cost him big. He loses almost all the time that he gained, and that is a big shame for him. Lancer, meanwhile, 3/10 up, looking to take third place away from the defending champion. We've got the Ferrari of Lou Simeons to P11. The Haas of Eisenborg doesn't improve. Lancer gets ahead of Martin into third place. And Finley comes across the line. No improvement. He stays 14th. That's a huge shock to have Finley that low down. But Abdullah is doing just enough. If he can match his time in the final sector, he will take pole, but he doesn't. He loses it all, and he stays P2. What about Kemenche in the Red Bull? He stays P8 as well after a slight improvement. Palang, what can he do in the Aston? He goes P9. Big improvement for the Canadian. And Patty Pat through the final corner, rooted to 16th at the moment. Can he go any higher? Ultimate embarrassment for Finley as he's beaten by Patty Pat and is down in 16th place for the first qualifying session of ESRL. Surely there's something wrong with Finley. Is he driving on controller? Is there a problem with his wheel? I don't know, but that is a shock to see him that far down. But it's Stephen Vasso on pole position ahead of his, not his teammate, but his mate, who he invited to the league barely 45 minutes ago. Abdullah on on the front row with him. Lancer and defending champion Martin on the second row. Clemo Trugster very high up in P6. Chalder and Kemenche P7 and 8. Then it's Patty Pat and Palang in the top 10. Aces, Johnny Stokes, Lou Simeons, Valwood, Scott Finley, all the way down in 16th. Jacko, Eisenborg, 5th Yalman, and QB, the rest of the grid. And I'll be right back. So off we go for the formation lap. I haven't set up my new mic perfectly. I should have put it on a tripod. Instead, I'm holding it, but I forgot that I need to. I need to use the controller as well to look at what's happening. So my broadcast controls may be a little slower than you might be used to from this channel. But it will only be for today, I promise. I will sort it out for next time. Is this cockpit? No, this is just Division 1. The Cockpit Cam Championship in ESRL happens on Mondays. The exact time that it happens on Mondays escapes me, but I think it's something like 8:30. If you're interested, I can give you a link, and because they are searching for drivers still for the Cockpit Cam Championship. I think there's still 4 or 5 seats left to fill, but we're going to head to the grid here for the first time in this season here in Silverstone. It's Stephen Vasso on pole position. And it's mediums for most of the grid, some starting on softs. Johnny Stokes on hards. That is a poor decision at this circuit, I think. And I think he will pay for that. But soft to medium or medium to soft is likely going to be the strategy of the day. But here we go. Everyone getting ready and set on the grid for the start of Season 8 of ESRL. Here we go. It is 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're away for the season opener of ESRL Season 8. It's a good start from Stephen Vasso from pole position. Lancer stays ahead of Martin, challenges Abdullah through turn 2, but Martin's going to be back at him through the inside of turn 2. He's going to be the inside of turn 3 as well. And Martin retakes P3 from Lancer after losing it in qualifying. We've got position changes happening in the midfield as well. Plenty of drivers side by side, Palang and Trugster. Making moves. It's actually Palang making the move from the start. What a start for the Canadian. But Patty Pat and Kamenche also side by side through Luffield. Plenty of drivers side by side through this corner on lap 1, including Lou Simeons and Aces further behind, who are still battling for that P11 position. Aces trying to hold on to where he started at the moment. Is Lou Simeons going to go down the inside of Cox? Yes, he is. And there's contact, and Aces is sent wide. Lou Simeons somehow stays on the circuit, and they're still side by side at the exit. Aces still side by side with Lou Simeons through Marcus and Beck. It's just quite incredible stuff from these two on lap 1, but it's Lou Simeons who finally gets the better of the Alpine driver and the Ferrari up to 13th place. But he lost several positions with that contact at Copse. But it's Stephen Vasso who leads from Abdullah, and then it's Martin in P3, followed by Lancer, who lost that position at turn 2. Brilliantly done from the champion it was to get himself back into the top 3. But it's Chalder in P6, Palang up 3, Finley up 5 positions. A good start for him after his woeful qualifying. He's now got Kamenche in his sights, but does not send it to the inside of turn 3. He waits for a better opportunity, and perhaps it's going to come right about now down the inside of turn 4. It's a beautiful switchback from the British driver, and he's up to P10 now after starting 16th. But we have to go to the front here because Abdullah takes the lead for the first time in this race, and Stephen Vasso demoted down to 2nd place, and Martin and Lancer will be looking to stay with these two in this early stage of the race. That's going to be key for their racers, and Clemo as well will be hoping to, but I think it's those top 4 who are the class of the field today, and if Clemo can keep up with them, he will have done a great job. He was extremely quick in the Enduro Championship race around this circuit a few months ago, winning that race in style by 7 seconds or so. Stephen Vasso retaking the lead with the DRS in the meantime, and Finley making up another position. He's up to 9th place now in that McLaren. 1.6 though is the gap to Trugster, and that's going to be quite difficult for him to deal with, because the DRS he is not going to have, whereas Trugster will of course have it from all the cars ahead of him, as Martin continuing to chase after the top 2 who are battling each other to the limit here in these early stages. You're in the server, but race Mondays looks good. We'll have to jump in sometime. Yeah, go for it, Andy. Absolutely. They're searching for members for Mondays at the moment, so you would be very, very welcome. As Abdullah choosing not to overtake Steven Vasso on this occasion, choosing to stay behind the Kick Sauber driver as we go on to lap 3 of this race of 26. If there's one thing that I know about British Grand Prix in league racing, it's that they go very, very quickly. So blink and you miss this race at the moment. So we do not want to miss any action if we can help it. There's a few position changes happening towards the back. Scott battling with QB. Don't know how Scott ended up that far back. Same with Eisenborg, but Scott down 4 positions. Ace is down 5 after that contact early on. Finley still not able to close down Trugster at the moment. In fact, that gap is only increased thanks to the DRS for Trugster. Abdullah retaking the lead for now from Steven Vasso as the top 2 continue to go at it while Martin just watches and waits. Same for Lancer, Clemo, Chalder, Palang and Trugster all in this DRS train for the lead of this race right now. And Finley now 2.2 seconds behind, although he is gapping Patty Pat, so he could very quickly end up in a very lonely race, could Finley here. Which would be a shame for him, but that seems to be the way this is going. Patty Pat locks up there into turn 3, and Valwood takes advantage of Comanche's poor exit and gets his way into P11, does the newbie. Got yellow flags further back. I think that's a half spin, but we've got to look at the front of the field because Martin is making a challenge on Abdullah, the defending champion. He may have been quite a way down in qualifying on these two, but in the race, it's all about whether you can stay in the DRS train, and if you can, you've got yourself a chance, and Martin knows it. He's in P3 at the moment, which is not the place you want to be in a race like this with DRS trains galore. You want to be 1 or 2, but Martin perfectly happy at the moment. He's got the DRS, and he will stay about where he is until later in this race perhaps, or unless there's a mistake from Abdullah in front of him. Someone DQ'd. Oh, that was just people going over their grid spot line at the end of the formation lap, Harris. The game says they've been disqualified, but it just sets them back a couple meters as a punishment for going over the line. But Lancer is under attack here from Clemo. It must have been a mistake from the McLaren driver because he's lost quite a bit of time to the top 3. He's still in DRS range, luckily for him, but 9.5 tenths now is the gap. He needs to find some time back to those top 3, or else he's going to be in real danger of losing that DRS train and becoming very vulnerable to the cockpit cam, or to the enduro champion, I should say. And the cockpit cam champion's right behind him, Clemo and Chalder, 2 champions of 2 different divisions in ESRL, currently 5th and 6th in this one. Me, Lancer now still just about keeping up though, as Trugster under attack from AMS Palang, and no, actually it's the other way around because Trugster was at the back of this train and now he's into P7, so Palang has lost that position and he's now down to 8th place. He's going to manage it from there now, does the Aston Martin driver. We've got Chalder still battling with Clemo, but at the front it's going to be Abdullah who retakes the lead once again from Steven Vasso. These two have swapped several times now in this race, and they will continue to do so, I think, several times more, at least until the first pit stops begin. And around this circuit, an undercut is huge, so I do wonder if we'll see anyone come in early here. I'm just going to put tyres on the screen. So all of the top 6 on mediums. Trugster the only one on softs, and he could stand to gain quite a lot here. If he pits a little earlier than everyone else, goes on to the mediums, then he's going to stand himself in very good stead for the start of the second stint. before everyone else pits, but it's 3 wide further back. Meanwhile, into turn 3, Patty Pat and Comanche fend off Johnny Stokes, who's trying to fend off Lou Simeons as well, as they go through still 2 by 2. They go down towards Brooklyn's corner. It's going to be Comanche who gets ahead, but it's going to be 3 wide into the corner. Patty Pat backs out sensibly, but he's still on the outside here. Through Luffield, as Comanche is going to have to try and hang it down the inside. Johnny Stokes under heavy pressure. He's really regretting starting on those hards now, as Patty Pat now looks to the inside, as Comanche as well looks there, but Patty Pat nearly went back into the path of Comanche. That could have been a disaster. We've seen Patty Pat swerve across into other drivers' paths in years gone by, but not today, thankfully. Abdullah gets ahead of Stephen Vasso, meanwhile, to take the lead of the race, and TF Martin still sticking with them at the moment. The defending champ, very comfortable where he is right now. He doesn't really want to pile the pressure on. He just wants to be there or thereabouts, and it's going to be the later part of the race where he can really start to pounce. But Stephen Vasso right behind the Haas driver, as Lancer is struggling, and that gap is now over a second. He will have DRS this time, I believe. I think he just about was in range at the DRS detection point. He was indeed. There goes the rear wing, but he's really on the edge here, is Lancer, and that mistake a couple of laps ago may end up really costing him if he's not careful in the long run. Clemo trying to stay with the McLaren as well. It's definitely a pace difference between them, but the DRS is keeping them together at the moment. These two once again battling it out for P12. Comanche and Patty Pat, and there's contact, and Patty Pat loses the rears, somehow manages to keep the car pointing in the right direction. But Vithjalman was in a lot of danger there for a brief moment, and he looks possibly to the inside of Kops. Lou Simeons hits the back of the Sauber as they go through, as the green car unexpectedly slowed down, and the Ferrari now under pressure from Jack Alaco for P15. The top two swapping again, this time towards Stowe. Martin's trying to take advantage, but he has to go deep, and ends up not able to gain any positions. He stays P3. Jack Alaco does get past the Ferrari of Lou Simeons for P15 meanwhile, but the bad side of the story here for those drivers battling for P12, P11 at the moment is exactly that. They're battling for P11. It's points for the top 10 in ESRL. It's just the standard Formula 1 points system. But that means that Johnny Stokes, 2.3 seconds back from the points, is in a lot of trouble here as Stephen Vasso retakes the lead. And look at the gap now between Palang and Finley. But meanwhile, before we look at that, Martin sends it down the inside of the Haas of Abdullah into Brooklands. He tries to hang all the way around the outside of Luffield. He's going to do exactly that. And the defending champion is looking to get his way into the top two here, but Abdullah spends the battery to stay ahead. Round the outside of Kops, surely not for Martin. What a move this would be if he can pull it off, but I don't think he's going to be able to. Abdullah stays ahead, and oh goodness me, Martin is on the warpath here, and the defending champ not going down without a fight to these two. Well, Stephen Vasso not quite a newbie, but Abdullah certainly is, and Abdullah round the outside of the NLR driver. As Stephen Vasso back down to P2, but Martin is piling the pressure on now. Lancer is back in the fight as a result of all of this battling, as are Clemo, Chalder, Trugster and Palang still. They'll be very happy where they are at the moment, but Finley 6.8 behind and being caught by Valwood, who's stayed with him. What's happened to Finley today is way down on where we'd all expect him to be. Anyone who knows Finley knows that he's always a contender for the race win in the likes of ESRL and APP, but not today, seemingly, as Stephen Vasso retaking the lead very calmly with the DRS for now. But Martin is not going to want to let them be as calm as they currently are. He is fighting tooth and nail to pile the pressure on, and that's exactly what he is doing. He's definitely instilling some doubts into the minds of those top two, who were probably feeling very comfortable until that moment. But Martin not deterred, and neither is Lancer. He's back well in range again now, after teetering on the edge for a couple of laps. But he is well back in the fight now, and this could be interesting. Martin is right behind the Haas of Abdullah, who does not send it on Steven Vasso this time around, but the Red Bull driver is there or thereabouts. He looks to the inside but doesn't send it on this occasion. He stays behind, and Martin has sort of become synonymous with Red Bull, has the German driver. He's pretty much always driven for Red Bull in the ESRL. This season no exception, and he'll be hoping to take away a second consecutive double of championships. Not only the drivers but also the constructors for the team he clearly loves very much. Down they go towards Brooklands for the 10th time in this race out of 26. Abdullah just behind the Sauber but not able to make a move, and neither is Martin, not sending it down the inside this time, but Abdullah will definitely be looking towards his inside a little bit more than he used to be, and Martin carrying some crazy speed there through Luffield, but not able to make any sort of move in the end. But he is right behind this Haas through Copse. Look at the pace he brings through that corner. Martin is flying through the corners on this circuit. It may be not so good on the straights, but he's definitely set up for the corners today, as he comes now through the last bit of Magnus and Beckett's, down through Chapel and down towards Stowe. He's right behind the Haas, but again, he's just not able to compete with the straight line speed. But maybe he can send one to the inside, as Steven Vasso decides against it on this occasion. It's only lap 10. Martin showing that race smarts, but not this time. Down the inside he goes into the Vale chicane. It's going to be the outside for the second part of the chicane. Vasso pulls him wide, and Abdullah spins in front of them and is down, and all the way down to P8 is the Haas driver, and out of DRS range as well. He's going to have to fight to get back in it, but a bit of a tussle, and Lancer now finds himself in second place after Abdullah spins it with under no pressure. They were all fighting behind him. He had a big opportunity to open a little bit of a gap, but he spins it instead, and he's down to 8th place. He's still in the train just about, but teetering on the edge, and that is a disastrous bit of racing there for Abdullah. But Martin nearly into the back of Lancer there, nearly losing a part of his front wing, just about keeping it on circuit, but loses the rear a bit on the exit of Luffield, and Martin a little bit shaken perhaps by that sort of mini incident that we just saw. Clemo now on the attack on the Red Bull driver. We've got 3 champions. All 3 champions of ESRL are right together, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Martin, the Div 1 champion, Clemo, the Enduro champion, and Chalder, the Cockpit Cam champion. This is fantastic stuff, but that may not be for long. Martin putting the pressure on, but here comes Lancer to take the lead of the race for the first time today, but not this time. Steven Vasso keeps on the inside and stays ahead, but the pressure is mounting now on the Sauber driver, especially now without his without Abdullah, who was very calmly exchanging the lead with him. Here comes Martin. We've seen this before. We saw it on lap 1. Martin on the inside for turn 3, but this time he backs out before the braking zone and allows Lancer to keep P2, but he knows he's faster than Lancer. He knows from the early part of this stint that he's got the pace over the McLaren driver, but he's just not got the ERS at the moment, and Lancer's got plenty of it, but so does Steven Vasso, and he should be able to hold on to the lead there. But Chowder right behind Clemo as well. Palang just about staying with them, as are Trugster and Abdullah after his spin. Who was that racer who had the cursed aura last division? Kept on being in P1. Was it Extrarec? I think you're talking about Extrarec, who's in APPF1 Tier 2. That's on Tuesdays, and that will be back here on this channel next Tuesday. So we'll be back for season number 14 of Tier 2. in APP, and I'm very much looking forward to it. But for now, we're focused on ESRL, the start of this season, and Abdullah gets his way into P7, but look at the gap to the cars ahead, 1.2 seconds. He's lost the DRS, and he's going to have to work hard over the next few corners to get back in. Clemo on the inside of the Red Bull of Martin, who makes a big mistake through the Vale chicane, and that will definitely help Abdullah. Trugster into the pits to try and undercut everyone. That's a smart move, I think, from the VCARB driver. And Abdullah is back in DRS range now, but Clemo right on the tail of the defending champion, and Clemo down the inside of turn 3. It's a lock of the rears for Martin. He's lost out to Lancer. It's 1.2 seconds now between Lancer and Mar, and back to 1.0, but he's not going to have the DRS. He's going to be under a lot of pressure from Clemo here. Round the outside goes the Mercedes, and the two Germans swap positions. Clemo up into the podium positions for the first time in this race, but look at the gap to Lancer, 1.2 seconds. It is not going well for the drivers from third down after Martin's error into the Vale chicane. And Clemo now, 1.01. It's going to be so close for DRS. He's using everything he's got to catch back up, and he has done so. Good use of the ERS from Clemo there, and back in range he goes. The DRS train continues for this top 7. Where has Trugster come out? He's in clean air, so he'll be happy to see that. On those fresh medium tyres, but will any of these front runners pit now? Martin under pressure from the cockpit cam champion now. Chalder looking to overtake for P4, but Martin dives into the pits, and as do Palang and Abdullah just behind. I think that's smart from the 3 of them there, especially Martin. Finley gets himself a track limits penalty further back, meanwhile. But Stephen Vasso, Lancer, Clemo and Chalder all staying out, but they're going to get a nasty undercut here, or nastily undercutted, as Martin goes onto the hard tyres, and I think that is a strategy blunder from the defending champion. The softs will definitely go to the end here, and he is going to be a sitting duck on those hards. That is not a good move from Martin, I don't think. This is really going to come to the wire now. Where is Trugster? He's coming through turn 2, and he's behind, in fact. The undercut hasn't worked for Trugster. Still behind Abdullah after that 1-lap undercut, and he'll be disappointed with that, but at least he's still in this mini DRS train now. It's Eisenborg now playing a bit of a spoiler effect here. Palang not able to get past, and could lose the DRS to Martin as a result. He sweeps around the outside of Luffield. A brilliant move on the fresher tyres from Palang. Very good from the Canadian, and he's up to P8 and still just about in range of Martin, but he's running low on ERS. Martin spends a little bit here. He might be able to gap the Aston Martin, but I don't think he realises, and it's going to be very close though. Lancer and Clemo, Clemo diving into the pits with Chalder, Stephen Vasso and Lancer staying out. Interesting decisions all round there. But Martin has not been able to gap Palang. He does gap the DRS. He just let Abdullah through on that occasion. And now Clemo and Chalder out of the pits. Is going to be the Mercedes driver. The lead one of the 2, but where are they going to be when the others come through? Here comes Martin through the final corner on those hard tyres, which are going to be awful in this early stage of the stint. Here we go. Where, look on the right-hand side. There they are. And he's been undercut as Martin. Chalder is on the inside for turn 3, but Martin gets him around the outside. Great move from the Red Bull, but he's hit from behind by Abdullah in the Haas, who tries to brake late to get past Chalder himself. Does so, but a little bit of contact. I wonder if there's any damage to that Haas. Nothing visual, but there could be superficial damage to the front wing. But Clemo has successfully managed to clear Martin in the pit lane, and if Mar is a little bit poor on those hard tyres through the corners, then Clemo could well open a DRS advantage here. But Martin's got problems behind him as well. Abdullah, oh my goodness me, how on earth have they both made it through cops? I thought that was going to be a horrible incident. Abdullah now looking to the inside of Maggots. He hits the curb. It's a disaster for the Haas driver. Too aggressive down towards Maggots, and he has paid the price all the way down to P9 he goes, well at the DRS train now, and he's got a lot of work to do. Martin still in front of Chalder, but oh, that's a very, very late move from the defending champion. I don't know how Chalder will feel about that, but Martin stays ahead of us as a result, and this is perfect for Clemo in the Mercedes. Look at this 1.5 second gap he's got now. Comanche takes the lead after being the only one not to pit now, and we've got a VSC, and it's good news for Steven Vasso and Lancer, because they have survived the undercut as a result, and they've stayed with Clemo. It's come out at just the wrong time for Clemo, unfortunately for the Mercedes driver, but he does take the net race lead now as a result. But yeah, he is going to be a little bit miffed by that, because he could easily have been outside a DRS range of those two. In fact, I think Steven and Lancer would have been behind Martin and Chalder had it not been for that VSC coming out. So they can count themselves a little bit lucky there, and Clemo can certainly count himself unlucky, because he has played his cards perfectly so far this race, and the net race lead is his reward. So we will likely have green flags relatively shortly. Comanche leads the way. That is not Martin, that's the other Red Bull, but he has yet to pit, remember, and DRS now enabled. We've got green flags again, and Clemo is under heavy pressure already from Steven Vasso in the Sauber, who is right behind him, and Comanche gets himself a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and he'll be gutted with that. That's so unnecessary. But there we have it. That'll be his race well and truly over, I think, in terms of getting points from this Grand Prix. But Clemo leads the way from Steven Vasso, and then it's a DRS train all the way down to Trugster in P7, but Trugster struggling to stay 1.1 seconds, and he's lost the DRS, has Trugster now, and the top 6 now in the train. And they'll be looking to stay with each other as well. Martin on the hard tyres, somehow staying with them, but he is going to have a hard time this stint, a very hard time. He might be better towards the last couple of laps maybe, but no sooner than that. The softs last for a very long time around here, and yeah, a rare strategy blunder from the defending champion. As Steven Vasso now right behind Clemo. QB, our first retirement from this race. He was a few laps down, I think, so not particularly surprising, but Vasso now round the outside of Clemo he goes, down towards Stowe Corner for the 17th time, and he retakes the lead of this race as Scott gets himself a track limits penalty further back. He is down in P12. He's done well to come back into this race, as Scott. He, after his incident, mistake, something happened to him in the early stage of the race. Steven Vasso sets the fastest lap, now leading this race, and Clemo has got to work hard to stay with him. Remember, earlier in this race, Clemo was not the fastest driver in this train, far from it. He was struggling to stay with Martin and Lancer, never mind Steven Vasso, and Lancer will know this, and he's going to want to get past this Mercedes because he's going to be worried he'll lose track of Vasso. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's using the ERS, but it's not enough on this occasion. He's going to have to stay behind, and he's going to have to just rely now on the German driver to stay with the race leader. 5/10 is the gap, and Clemo's doing a decent job at the moment. But how soon will that change is the question, as Vasso gains a ton of time on the straight there, but Clemo has plenty of ERS in the tank to catch back up again. Martin still on the warpath as well. He's still staying with Lancer, to his credit. The hards aren't that bad around here, but, you know, they're not staying with the softs not bad. So Martin is doing a very good job to stay with Lancer here. Can Clemo do anything to Steven Vasso towards Stowe? No, he can't. He stays behind. But 4.5 is the gap. And that's just about fine for Clemo at this stage, but he's certainly going to want to be closer than that, because he needs to get past at some point if he wants to win this race. Another time penalty for Finley, who's now possibly in danger of not scoring any points from this race even. He's certainly in danger of losing 9th place to Johnny Stokes, who's looking to take that from him. And a mistake from Finley out the final corner is going to give Johnny a big opportunity here through the next couple of corners. Finley just about ahead, but surely Johnny gets him on this lap, you would think. We'll keep an eye on that, but Martin finally now starting to feel the pain of those hard tyres. It's a poor strategy error, I have to say, from Martin. I do not know how he doesn't know how good the softs are around here, because he's raced around here on this game before plenty of times, I'm sure, and surely he should know that the softs would last for the rest of the race, but no, he's chosen the hards. He's going to have to live with the bed that he has made. Palang gets himself a track limits penalty. That'll be devastating for him. But Chalder gets his way past the defending champion, and Martin is looking like he's going to have an absolute stinker of a race today. He's down in 5th place. Possibly going to lose out to Palang. Abdullah's not that far behind, and he's dragging Trugster along with him. Martin could well fall into their clutches if he's not careful. But at the front, it is still as you were. Clemo doing a brilliant job on these soft tyres. He seems to have a lot more pace on these tyres than he did on the mediums earlier on. But he'll certainly be happy with where he is right now. He's got 100% ERS in the tank as he comes through turn 4. And with the DRS, he will easily be able to hold on to Stephen Vasso unless he makes a critical mistake at any point. But at the moment, he looks on rails, does Clemo, and it's pretty much identical to how he won the Enduro race as Martin here sends it down the inside of Chalder. Hard tyres, no problem, but they are a problem on the exit, and Chalder gets him on the inside. No grip for the Red Bull driver as they go through, and in fact he's under pressure from the Aston Martin of Palang. It's going to be 3 wide into Copse, surely not, and there is contact, and there is a car very, very wide, and it is Martin who gets ahead of both of them. That's going to be contentious perhaps in the stewards, but it's Palang in P5. Chalder's down to P7, and Abdullah has joined the party. They've lost so much time to the leaders. It's all about the top 3 now, but it's all about these drivers. It's going to be 3 wide. Someone's out. That's Chalder round in the background. A disaster for him. Abdullah's up back into P4 as Palang holds on to him, but Martin is going to be kicking himself for choosing the hards, I think. He loses the rear again as he sends it down the inside of Trugster into the Vale chicane. Trugster lets him go, not willing to battle with an angry champion, clearly, into Vale. But Martin, dear, oh dear, I don't think those tyres are even good enough to come alive at the end of the race. He's just in a bad position for the whole rest of the race, the next 6 laps, as he now sends it around the outside of Palang, though, just as I say that. Look how much less grip he has on the exits of corners, though. Palang maybe having a go at him into the next corner, but no, has to stay behind. Trugster well down now in that V-carb. Does he have damage? Nothing visual on the car, but Clemo now in a bit of trouble of losing out. Finley gets past Johnny Stokes again, but it's not going to matter thanks to that track limits penalty. Chalder looking like the best he can do now is P8. He's going to have to get past Johnny Stokes to do it, though, in the next 6 laps, or 5.5 laps. And that's going to be a tall order, I should think. And Lancer has now fallen off the back of the top 2. So it's all about, unexpectedly here, it is Stephen Vasso, expectedly, in the battle for the race win. But Clemo is his nearest and pretty much only rival at this stage of the race, with 5 laps to go now. Lancer has fallen off the battle with possibly another mistake. He'll still be happy with a podium, I think, but he'll be disappointed with himself for not being able to hold on to the DRS. Abdullah 5.5 seconds back. He's still in 4th place, being chased down by the hard tyres of Martin, who is, I don't know how he's doing this well on those hards. But anyway, Stephen Vasso and Clemo still locked together. Clemo now using some of the ERS. He looks to the inside. No, in fact, he lifts off well before the corner. and chooses not to make any sort of move. A mistake from Palang by the looks of it. He's well down on Truxton now, who has lost out the DRS as well to Martin. So it's looking like P6 for Truxton today, unless any other shenanigans happen in this race. Still time for a safety car, of course. Hats off to Abdullah for making it back to top 5 twice, says Harris in the chat. Yes, absolutely. He's definitely had a fighter's heart today, has Abdullah. He's back into the top 4. I think a podium's off the cards unless anything happens up front. But he can still be fairly proud of the recovery drive he's had today, although he will be disappointed in himself for the mistakes he has made. There was that one mistake at the final corner where he spun it from the lead of the race under no pressure, and one mistake trying to go down the inside of Mar into Maggots and just kicking himself onto the curb. And losing the rears again, but he's found himself back into the top 4, and that is likely where he will stay. But just 3.5, well, just under 4 laps left to go, and look how close Clemo is to the back of Stephen Vasso. Stephen Vasso gets a poor exit, and for the first time this Grand Prix, Clemo leads the British Grand Prix in ESRL. The man who's coming off the back of an Enduro Championship win a couple of months ago, before the Christmas break. He's come straight back into Division 1 and is leading the British Grand Prix. This is quite remarkable from the German. What a start to the season he is having here. But Stephen Vasso is not going to go down without a fight. He's got plenty of ERS to spare. And through they go to Maggots and Beckett. He's not going to do the Abdullah strategy of putting himself onto the curb, trying to go down the inside of Maggots. Instead, he's going to wait for the sensible option, the DRS, at the end of it. And this should be a clean, simple overtake for the Kick Sauber driver. Or maybe it isn't, because Clemo stays with him, but doesn't send it to the inside of Stowe. Lets him go. And Stephen back into the lead, but Clemo is giving him a right run for his money here, with just 3 laps to go in this thrilling season opener of ESRL season number 8. Lancer 2.7 behind now. He's actually been caught by quite a margin by Abdullah, but I don't think it's quite fast enough for the Haas driver. Lancer should still be able to hold on to this podium, but he'll be a little bit concerned. It could get in his head seeing that gap decrease to 4th place. But Clemo now 5 tenths behind Stephen Vasso. He's still just about in range, but has lost out a little bit in that first sector. He's going to have to work hard to stay where he is. He's done such an amazing job so far this race, has Clemo. But Finley, meanwhile, and Chalder going side by side through turn 4. It's Chalder who gets past, and now he tries to get past Johnny Stokes to get himself into P8, the best he can do today, perhaps. Oh dear, what's happened there? Finley trying to find a gap where there wasn't one, and Johnny Stokes is sent into the grass. It's great news for Chalder, but Johnny will be not particularly happy about that, as Martin's hard tyres, maybe they're coming alive after all. He's right behind Abdullah now through Maggots and Beckett, and it's deja vu for these two drivers. They came to bear earlier in this race at this set of corners. Here we go again. Martin down towards Stowe, finds the inside line, and after Abdullah swerves his way through the track, but Martin gets his way ahead, but just about on the inside for Abdullah as they head into the Vale chicane. Can Martin hold around the outside? Yes, he can. It'll be the inside for the final corner, and the defending champion gets himself back into P4 on those aging hard tyres. No idea how he's doing this on those tyres. And Abdullah looks to the inside of turn 1, but Martin covers him off aggressively, and he is not willing to give this up without a fight. But Clemo is losing out here. He's 9 tenths behind, and Vasso's trying to get rid of him. He's using some of the ERS he's got, and Clemo, he's got to get these next couple of corners right, or else he will lose the chance for the race win. Just 1.5 laps left to go in this thrilling Grand Prix. 9 tenths is the gap. 8.5. Is Stephen going to use ERS? Yes, he is. He's in hot lap mode. He's trying to get rid of this Mercedes, but Clemo is not giving up. He's still within 7.5 tenths. and within that magical 1 second barrier, but he's got to save ERS. He's got to be ready for a final push on the last lap here to try and snatch this race win away, and it really would be a snatch away from Steven Vasso, who has been the favourite for the race win all race long, but Clemo, out of nowhere, after that brilliant undercut he got, even with the VSC that did not play into his hands, is now in with a fantastic chance of winning this race. Lancer is 4 seconds behind. Martin is 4.5 seconds behind him, battling with Abdullah for P4. Trugster sitting pretty in P6 right now. Lancer with a time penalty, though. That's going to put a little bit more pressure on him. He's still 4 seconds ahead of Martin, but he can't afford to lose another 1.3, or else he will lose his well-earned podium. But we've got to concentrate on the top two here. There's plenty of battles happening up and down the grid, but most of them are not in the points, so it's all about Steven Vasso versus Clemo here. Can Clemo do anything to take this race victory away? He's got the DRS, he's got plenty in the battery as well, but Steven Vasso's got enough to defend with, and Clemo needs to get these next corners right. He has to get a good exit out of Beckett's and have a great run down towards Stowe. That's going to be his best chance here, but they could well be side by side into the Vale chicane. You've seen it so many times in league racing at this circuit. Abdullah gets his way past Martin further back for P4. That's going to go to the end of this race as well, that particular battle, but it's all about the top two. Palang and Trugs to swap positions, but what about Clemo? He needs a good exit here, and he nearly gets one, but loses the rears, and could that be what loses him the chance of this race win? He's closing, but he's not close enough into Stowe corner. He's going to have to send one into Vale if he wants to win this race. He's too far behind though. Steven's not got much left in the tank. Clemo goes for it down the inside, but he's not quite close enough, and that small error through Beckett's has cost him this race win. Steven Vasso wins the season opener in ESRL, but goodness me, did Clemo make him work hard for it. Lancer comes home to take a podium position to start the season as well. Great start for him. Abdullah comes home in 4th place, beats out Martin in the end, who got himself a track limits penalty. Palang gets past Trugster, who looks like he's run out of fuel there, but he still gets P6 thanks to penalties. Chalder manages to salvage P8. Johnny Stokes in 9th place. Finley 10th after his penalties. And then it's going to be Kemenche who comes across in 11th, but that 10-second time penalty will drop him a few more positions. Pat takes 11th, Scott takes 12th, Vithyalman 13th, Kemenche down to 15th in the end as Jackalacco takes it away as well for 14th. Lou Simeon's P16, Valwood 17th on debut in ESRL, not what he would have hoped for. Eisenborg in 18th, and it's going to be Aces versus Kings, the final car to trundle across the line for 19th place. Of course, QB retiring earlier on, but wow, what an opener to this season of ESRL. And I hope that is a sign of things to come. I really, really do. It was a truly storming pole position from Steven Vasso, but he really, really had to work hard for that race victory. And he will be very, very happy with it. But Clemo, what a performance from the Enduro champion. He finishes in 2nd place, but it's Steven Vasso who just about managed to hold him off, and the Ukrainian wins the season opener to Season 8 of ESRL. Lancer will be decently happy with a podium there, and Abdullah down in 4th place in the end, but like Harris said in the chat, he had to come back into the top 5 twice after 2 self-inflicted mistakes. So it's a good recovery drive, sets fastest lap as well, but he'll still be relatively disappointed, I think, to be off the podium. Martin, with his strategy blunder, comes home in 5th place. Trugster a very strong P6, and it's Palang in 7th. Chalder will be very disappointed with P8, very unlucky for him. And he will feel like he deserved better, and I think he did. Johnny Stokes in 9th. Finley takes the final point, and it's Pat, Scott, Vithyalman, Jacko, Kemenche, Lucimians, Valwood, Eisenborg, and Aces the last of the finishers, with QB unable to finish the race in day has to go to Clemo without a doubt in that race. A monumental performance to challenge the runaway pole sitter for the race victory at the very end, but that small error out of Beckett's just cost him on the final lap. But what a start to this season. Thank you all ever so much for watching. We've got a fantastic 2025 of racing ahead. I will be back in the commentary box on Monday on PSGL's channel for PSF3 over there. But on this channel, I'll be here on Tuesday evening for APPF1 Tier 2, the return. We'll be back for Season 14. And then, of course, same time next Friday for ESRL Round 2. I hope that we have started as we mean to go on this season. What a start it has been. Thank you all ever so much for watching. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.